Thank you, Máirtín. That was a lot more auspicious than calling me the father of technology in Belfast, but that's not remotely true. I'm much, much younger than that. As with Máirtín, it'd be good if we switched off the recording for a quick second when I said that technology isn't the most important thing in the world. We might think it is. It isn't always. And while innovation has become conflagrated with technology, there's much more to innovation than just tech. So I think this is going to be a really good session to, I guess, explore how innovation can have a real impact on the individuals, on the citizens. So with that in mind, I would like to go around the panel, I guess, starting with you, Mayor Savage, and I'd like to get some sort of insight into what innovation means to you and your city.
Sure thing. Thank you very much, and I'm very happy to be here in Belfast. As the Lord Mayor mentioned, I have a long family history here. I was born here. I'm very excited about the opportunity to be here at this conference in Belfast. So when we were invited, I was sort of wondered why I was invited to a conference on technology, because as I mentioned this morning in my opening comments, I'm not a tech guy, but what I am is somebody who's acutely aware of what technology does, both for individuals and for communities. And for individuals, it opens up many opportunities, and it provides opportunity, it provides growth for a city. Cities that don't innovate don't prosper. Cities that don't grow don't prosper. The three things go together. So we see in Halifax, which is a modest-sized city of about 420,000 people, we have 6 strong universities, technological hubs in all of them. Dalhousie University in particular has a very strong connection. We have sandboxes, we have innovation hubs, we have both provincial, Nova Scotia being the province, and municipal smart business teams that bring things together. We have IT successes, we have startups that have become very successful. A couple of them would be Go Instant, and another one is called Volta Labs. So we see the advantages of that. We see what it does for a city where in a province where traditional industries have not done as well. But we also see what technology does in traditional industries. The Lord Mayor mentioned shipbuilding. Halifax is where the next class of defense, the biggest defense contract in the history of Canada, starts next year. It's a shipbuilding contract in Halifax. It's worth $25 billion over the next couple of decades. We couldn't do that without updates in technology and how technology is affecting things even as traditional as the building of ships, which Belfast and Halifax have in common. So technology is an enabler to me. Because I don't necessarily get into all the aspects of how it actually works, I'm interested in what it does, and I'm fascinated by the way that technology is actually bringing people closer to their government when governments use information effectively and use innovation and technology strongly. It is an enabler of a better, stronger, more effective, vibrant, diverse, and inclusive community. I find it very exciting.
Thank you very much. Mayor Reilly?
Thank you, and again, just to echo the words of thanks to the Mayor of Belfast for inviting us to be here today. I know Belfast well. I studied here. I'm married a Belfast girl, and she still works in Belfast, so I'll be up here quite a bit. But it's good to be here as part of this panel with other mayors from other places. For us, technology is crucial in developing our economy. Earlier today, I was lucky enough to be able to attend the opening of the Northern Ireland Science Park, the Derry venue for that, to build on the very successful science park that's here in Belfast in the Titanic Quarter. So we see technology as very important in terms of developing our economy, in growing the businesses that are there. One of the anchor tenants in the new science park in Derry is a company called 8over8 that are currently based in our University of Ulster, McGee campus, who want to expand, and by doing that expansion they're able to create 10 more jobs locally, but another 10 globally. So that's good news for our city. It's also good for our young people. That gives them employment opportunities and confidence to study in the STEM subjects that we want more of them to embrace. Earlier in the week, our city became part of the Super Connected Cities programme that Belfast is also involved in, and that again is very important in getting our city and local businesses, small and medium-sized enterprises involved in super-fast broadband. That programme also allows us to roll out a more extensive free public Wi-Fi than what we have at the moment. We were one of the first cities to introduce that, and it's great that we're able to build on that and to widen out the offer to more places. and to more people in the city, not just for citizens but also for those who come to visit us. And as well as having that investment in infrastructure, it's also great to see events happening regularly in our city, like Culture Tech, where we give lots of young people. Culture Tech last year had 20,000 people take part. About 8,000 of those were young people who were able to engage with companies like Nintendo, and also to hear from CERN about how technology can develop and go. And again, it's about engaging young people to give them that opportunity to develop their own skill set, to have the confidence to embrace technology, and to allow them and their creative minds to shape where technology goes, to the betterment of not just their own lives but the wider city economy.
Okay, thank you. Mayor Torpey.
Thank you, and I want to also echo my thanks to the Lord Mayor for hosting this. And this is my first time in Northern Ireland, and it's great to be up here with some other mayors as well. And so I think the question about innovation is a great one, and it's an interesting, and I think actually sort of in my mind almost a kind of a complicated answer, which is that there's a number of things that a number of industries where we've seen innovation really disrupt the industry and do something totally different. We saw Apple and iTunes do it in the music industry. We're seeing Airbnb do it in the hotel industry. And I was talking actually just earlier with a gentleman about this. Is that some of these industries have changed based on technologies that have empowered a better service delivery to the people who use that. So in those industries, those are consumers who use those services. Our industry is providing services to people, to constituents, to citizens. And I don't think we've quite seen that level of disruption yet in our industry of government. We see some leaders, like some of the ones that are up here today, that are doing these things in their cities. And what I think is really interesting and exciting is that, especially in the states, the national government and even state governments to a certain degree are not really able to accomplish a lot of these technological innovations the way that local governments can. We have very direct access, as I'm sure everyone up here can speak to our constituents on a daily basis. There are no ivory towers in your local government. You're working with your citizens on a daily basis. You understand their needs. You can see the challenges that face your community. And so the opportunity for us to learn from that and be able to do something that is very different is really exciting. The one thing that I think is important to think about is that I try and attend a lot of these kind of workshops and conferences talking about technology and government, and trying to learn what other folks are doing so that we can try and do some of those things in South Orange, as well as try and tell some of our stories. But one of the phrases that I hear a lot is how technology is changing government. And I don't want to say I take issue with that phrase, but the technology isn't changing the government. The technology is a platform. It's in my opinion, it's something neutral, and it is up to us to use technology to change government. Technology for the sake of technology has very little value, and I think what's really important and what's kind of incumbent on all of us as leaders, especially at a local level where we can do a lot to improve one of our residents' lives on a daily basis, is not just to think about, is not to be kind of a participant in just technology and it's changing government and we're kind of along for the ride, but we are actually people who are creating those changes using technology, and to think about how we can use technology to change government, why we can use technology to change government. And so innovation, to a certain extent, you can look at a change in an industry or a technology that changes a service delivery of either a product or anything like that. But I think it's almost a larger question of a mindset, and in government being in a mindset that we can experiment and we can try new things, and that there's enormous opportunity for us to be able to do that by using technology.
Thank you. And Lord Mayor?
Okay, well, I think rather than looking at what are the things that the City Council or City Fathers and City Mothers can do to encourage innovation on a step-by-step basis through digital hubs or through taking out startup missions to the US, through encouraging hackathons or mashups or whatever, I'd like to look at how you build confidence in a city, how you change the image of a city. So last Friday, the Lord Mayor of Dublin and myself had an initiative where we started in Dublin. We had some activity on the symposium on the train about tourism, and we arrived in Belfast and did some stuff. But during that, in all his press interviews, he made a really astounding boast for Dublin. where he said, we are the digital capital of Europe now. And then he said why. So he said, here's the companies that are there, here's how many graduates are employed in tech businesses and digital businesses. And I think Dublin's done a really good job on that. So how do you transform the image from almost a Liverpudlian dirty old town image to be able to say and stand it up that we are the digital capital of Europe, or we are the web capital of Europe? And for me, therefore, to encourage innovation, my role is to empower those who are creating innovation, who are at the cutting edge of innovation, and also to build confidence in them as individuals, but also in the city. And how do we do that? Well, it seems to me we have to recognise, we have to acknowledge the breakthroughs that are being made. We have to make the most of it. We have to really focus on the positive. And all of this, and all of this work in tech and digital work we're involved in, innovation, new industries, I'm guided by the words of my Buddhist chaplain. And Tom had the good fortune to meet our Buddhist chaplain when we were in San Francisco, because he's the abbot of the San Francisco Zen Monastery. And when you want a good Buddhist chaplain, where do you go to? You go to Andersontown, because that's where he's from. He left in 1971 to show that Buddhists have good sense of timing. Travelled the world, ended up in San Francisco, where he became the very deeply respected authority on Zen Buddhism, Paul Haller. And his advice to me was, when we met as chaplain, I had 9 chaplains, of course, but when I met Paul, I said, Paul, now you have a duty of care to me as well. And he said, it's okay, so I'm used to dealing with hopeless cases. And his number one piece of advice is edit out the negativity. And for me, to create a new image of a new Belfast, you need to really be relentlessly positive. And I have tried to do that. So I can't help Brewbot. I can't get them. I can give some assist to try and get them the £2 million of funding they need. These are people that are making it possible for you to brew beer in your office. Well, we've been waiting for all our lives, Mayor Savage. So I can't necessarily get them the funding they need, or I can't create the genius they need for the additional part on the app, which will make all the difference. But I can tell people all around the world of how they're emblematic of the new Belfast, how they are the type of talent that we are attracting, how they represent Belfast, and I can use that and multiply it many times to say that's what Belfast is. It is the fastest growing knowledge economy in Europe. So I would focus, rather the individual steps we'll take as a council, but how we empower people, how we highlight, focus on what they're doing, and really make it possible for them to aim ever higher, Tom.
Okay, I mean, and that makes sense to me, but at the risk of being maybe a little bit negative, if a granny from Andersonstown was here, they would be probably saying, what does this mean to me? So, I mean, is it possible to drill down into, an example of, how we've used innovation to drive a specific benefit to the citizens?
Well,
are there any examples?
Yeah, well, we have, and I have it on my iPad, different apps. We have Visit Belfast apps. I'm concerned at how well they're used. I would be concerned at how well they're used. So we do have, Gino Flaherty from Boston mentioned this morning, the type of apps which I think are created by Lagan Technologies, where you contact government. And I think that we are moving forward where we have more information online, or more things you can do online. But I am concerned about how much they're used. To give you some comfort, I was in Andersontown last Thursday presenting certificates to the Utopia group, which is a group for older people. And it's been a 9-month programme about internet access. So I said, how many people are on Facebook? And we had about 90%. How many are on Twitter? About 20%. And how many have an email address? 100%. So that's, I suppose, tackling the digital divide. But I hope they would see it in, I would love to see it that when when it's the brown bin rather than the blue bin, that there's a way of finding that out easy by turning on your computer, because more and more people are doing that. That doesn't exist yet, but we do give you a lovely yellow sticker.
Mm-hmm. Mayor Torpey, any examples that you can give?
Yeah, I mean, I think that there's a handful of places where we've created more external facing. We have mobile applications that allow people to directly put in service requests with the government. And there are areas like that where we've tried to make the interactions between us and the citizens work a little bit better. And what's actually great about most of those is, in the long run, they actually reduce our costs too. So that, for example, people who ask for public records. Instead of requiring people to go through the process of asking for those, what we've done and what we continue to do is try and make as many of those records available online on our website as possible. We've put our entire municipal budget on a spreadsheet on our website starting in 2012, which people can download. They can actually, if you want to, you can go see it right now at southorange.org/open budget, and you can look at that. You can see the budget. You can download the numbers. We put 5 years of budget data on there to at least allow people to understand where the money goes. So I think part of it is there's a couple of components. One is educating your citizens in your community about all of the different things that the government does and can do, how they can interact with those. It's providing a better way for them to interact with the government when they need it. So when you need to open a new business and the process takes too long and there's too much paperwork and it's too cumbersome, we don't want that to be a prohibiting factor to someone opening a business. Unfortunately, we have only the degree of control that we do because so many of those laws are created by the state of New Jersey, and we have to operate within those boundaries. So we try and go on top of that. And in areas where we're talking about using new technology, like using social media, there's actually no laws about them. And it's based on case law that makes a lot of elected officials and a lot of government agencies very hesitant to actually adopt or use new technology because they're afraid of getting sued. So instead of shying away from that, what we're trying to do is instead of shying away, try and actually set the model and set the example. Okay, so there's no law on it. Why don't we write our own and hope that that becomes the model? So it's creating that better interface between citizens and government, and also providing a space for people to do more on their own, where we're more of a facilitator than just a provider of services.
Mayor Reilly?
I think that in terms of our involvement, a lot of last year, our involvement in being the inaugural UK City of Culture, that gave us a range of big events, big occasions where a lot of people wanted to attend different things, and it was not possible to get everybody who wanted into particular gigs into the gigs themselves. So we use technology in a way to widen out access to different things. We also used it in a way to, like for example, one of the biggest events was last year was the Flag Kjol in the Hearn, where we had 430,000 people in the city, and to be able to share the events about the music, the occasions and the concerts with the wider city population, and indeed people who weren't able to come to the city, doing that online, doing it through the internet was very important. I think that in terms of getting citizens to get involved with the local council, it's growing. It's not at the extent that we would like it to be at. I think that's certainly where it will go in the future. At the moment, it's we would use Twitter, we would use Facebook for people to engage with the big events that are happening, but we don't necessarily have a lot of work where citizens can use apps to tell us about particular things that are happening, but they can engage with Facebook and Twitter, which is good, but I think there's more to be done.
And Mayor Savage?
I think if the question is, are we using technology to give citizens what they want? Is that the essence of the question?
Well, an example of the benefits that come from an innovation program.
Well, I think one of the benefits is we get closer to the people that we're governing. So the best way to find out if you're doing what people want is to ask them, and technology makes that a lot easier. Opening up data, governments for years have held data secretly, in back rooms, and have been afraid to parse it out. And if people wanted to get data, they had to pay user fees and go away and find it. So we started in Halifax opening up. We opened up a whole series of data sets last year, and then we brought in people and said, tell us what you want to do with it. So it's no good for me as the mayor telling you that this is what you're going to use your data for. Tell us what you want. We had a hackathon, and we brought in people, and some people wanted to know, how am I going to know when my trash is being collected? When's the bus going to arrive? How can I find a way to park downtown? What parking spots are available? So we take that data and we put it out there. Now, one of the things about opening up data is I've always felt that the data that people want is generally the data you tell them they can't have. Once you open it up, some people just say, great, thank you very much, and don't use it, but others actually will use it. And I think at the municipal level, we are touching people in ways that other governments don't. And I think municipalities is where the power is going. The world is becoming more urbanized. In Halifax, in Canada, we have a whole series of mayors who have come from other levels of government, as I did, from federal politics to municipal. Our largest cities, I don't know if any of you have ever heard of Rob Ford in Toronto. Has he made the news here? He's being challenged by his number one challenger as a federal MP, the mayor of Montreal as of last November is a former federal member of parliament, the mayor of Vancouver is a former provincial parliamentarian, the mayor of our capital city is a former provincial parliamentarian. So we touch people in ways, and we're involved in more and more things, and technology is going to allow us to serve people not only more efficiently, because they'll decide if it's more efficient, but in ways that they want to be governed. And I think that that's a very positive thing.
Thank you. Now, we've been talking about the citizens. Let's sort of shift tack a second. What about the impact on the entrepreneurs or the new businesses? So what are you doing as a city to foster an environment where innovation can thrive? Marching?
Well, I think in terms of the council, it's trying to give as much leadership as possible. We're about to open a digital hub down, I suppose, in lower north inner city, Cathedral Quarter, to try and have a cluster there of creative digital industries. We have also been working closely with our friends down at NISP Connect in the NI Science Park. We have taken this idea, probably our most successful idea we stumbled upon was taking 20 startups to Silicon Valley last year. As part of that, we visited the Rocket Lab in San Francisco, and we're working out how can we make that a permanent part of government, that every October we take 20 of our most ambitious, keenest, hungriest startups to San Francisco, and perhaps as part of that they don't spend a day or 4 hours in the Rocket Lab, which is, I suppose, an incubator for early stage and startup companies, but that they spend a week there, and that it could be a part of almost a mentoring and learning process for them as well. So there are a number of initiatives, and of course we're doing the Super Connected City stuff, but for me the best thing we can do for the city is to continue to beat the drum of saying that this is a unique and a good location for digital businesses. And to do that, we need, I think, to tell the story and make sure we have, for example, Allstate out there across North America, across the world, saying this is the best place to come for business, because obviously we want to create jobs. A little example of that is Navinet, a man called Brad Waugh, whose people left County Down in 1650 or something, but we traced it back when he came back. Navinet's doing well in the city, still here, still committed to the city. But one guy that left that, Paul Phelanue, has set up the merchant warehouse operation here. Merchant warehouse with 300 employees in Boston. Some of the similarity to CyberSource and Visa, but they now have over 30 employees in Belfast, and that for me is absolutely key. That when we tell the story, we use it to build up and build up this reputation we have for being an absolutely brilliant location for digital businesses.
Thanks, Martin. Connor's giving me the evil eye, but I've started, so I'll finish. So Mayor Torpey, fostering innovation in the community?
Sure. There are a couple different areas where I think we've been trying to do this, and a few that we hope to get into. One is, for folks that own businesses in our downtown, we've provided a lot of support for them in trying to, if they need to apply for grants, we have a newly formed Downtown Business Alliance that helps store owners apply for grants, that help them connect with each other, helps them find resources beyond what they might be able to do on their own. Through our public library, we also offer a lot of free classes for residents, anybody with a library card, to learn take classes on training yourself with IT skills, even on how to apply for jobs and write your resume, all those sort of things, and just give some more economic empowerment to people who live in the community to go out and find more jobs on their own. And a big thing that we're trying to do, and it's a kind of interesting challenge and opportunity for a town our size. So we have a university, Seton Hall University, in our town that we have a pretty close relationship with, and what we're attempting to do is create a space in our downtown that can be a business incubator. And so we don't have an enormous amount of space to be able to do that, and we have a lot of old historic buildings that make having really open floor plans really difficult. But one of the things that we've certainly identified that's important, especially for a town that is within a 25-30 minute commute to New York City, is that we can be a sort of satellite technology and economic hub for such a city that obviously has an enormous technology background. So we're interested in trying to find a way to bring that out to our community, and also bring people to move out to our community in more higher density downtown residential living, people who might be a little bit more likely to start up a company, who might move out there when they just finished college or graduate school, are looking for a place to move, and a few years later they're going to have this idea of a new startup that's going to flourish, and they're going to be able to do so in our community. So a big part of that is actually getting people who are making population movements around the state and around the region to actually choose to come live in our town and start their business and start their idea there.
Thank you. Mayor Reilly?
Well, I think the Super Connected Cities programme is very important for us in terms of giving small, medium-sized businesses that opportunity to remove the financial barriers by giving them voucher schemes so that they can get the quicker, better broadband connection that they need to grow. So that's one way that we can help. In terms of other city partners in the city, we work closely with the University of Ulster. At McGee, we work with the Chamber of Commerce and others in Culture Tech. Really, as I mentioned earlier, is a very good festival where we bring a lot of people. It's an open invitation. Anybody is welcome to come along to be part of that week every September, where people can share ideas and to encourage each other as well as learn from each other about the various different things that they are doing. So there's a range of ways that I think councils have to do things themselves, but they also have to support other partners in the city that are working in that direction. And I think that's the best way forward. One of the things for our city, having had a very busy year of culture, is to try and allow all of that music that was a big part of last year to be celebrated, and that's what we're doing this year, to try and involve a range of young musical talent, give them the platforms and opportunities to show themselves off. Next year's focus is going to be on the STEM subjects as well. So councils can give that direction, but we do so only with good working partnerships with other people in the city, and it's I think that's the best way to deliver good results for everybody.
And Mayor Savage.
So I know we got a time crunch. So I would say what cities can do is collaborate and be a partner, understand where they can play a role, where they can't. In Halifax, for example, we have 450 ocean science PhDs, which is the highest or second highest concentration in the world. What they need from government is the opportunity to access talent. So we have a program, a civic program called the Connector Program that connects them with people around the world. We also have an economic development agency called the Greater Halifax Partnership, which is a smart business team which helps small startups and other businesses get connected. And I think to the point that Mayor Reilly made, having a city that is well managed and exciting. And so 5 hours before I got on a plane to come here, as a little plug, we passed our budget for the year and we reduced our rate on both residential and business taxes this year, which provides an environment. Also having a downtown hub, a vibrant downtown, a lively downtown culture. And to the comments of the Lord Mayor this morning, which I appreciated, Halifax is about the 12th or 13th largest city in Canada, but we have the third largest Pride Parade in the country. All of these things create a vibrant downtown where people want to go and live, and creating an environment where innovation can happen and technology prospers.
Well, you've made me want to visit Halifax.
Come to Halifax.
I think we're up. I think we've covered an awful range of topics, which is fabulous. Awful's good, by the way, here. And thank you very much. I don't think we have time for any questions from the floor. Okay. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. That was excellent.